the show where Pokemon nostalgia meets today's collecting culture. I am Bob Rushak, not Bob Ross, Bob Rushak.
Oh, you're not Bob Ross? What did I sign up for then?
Imagine if we got a Bob Ross crossover. I know he's dead, but like
Jesus Christ. You need Jesus.
Bob Ross, happy little Wingulls.
Don't worry. It's a happy little Trevenant. A happy little
Happy little
Trevenant.
traveler. It's a
And we got a
happy little traveler.
Snover over here. A Snover.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hit List Podcast, the show where Pokemon nostalgia meets today's collecting culture. I'd like to apologize for the hiatus as the Minty Gem was opening up and Kalen was working massive amounts of hours, and so was Jack. But uh, thank you, everyone who came into the live and was able to experience it with us while I was down there. But we are back. We are back to talk to you about everything that we love talking about. We love this hobby, and we're happy to be back with you. But we are kicking it back off right. Welcome back, Kalen.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
I can't imagine how tired you are, and I really appreciate you
I
being
am
here.
exhausted. I think it was over 56 hours in 1 week, so
Oh boy. I mean, it's all for good. It's all for the advancement of
it
the
was
shop. And
100% worth it. I will never ever say I worked too much or too hard. No. It was 100% worth it, and there's still more to do. So
but we're happy to be back, and we're going to try and keep this as consistent as we can. But for this Saturday's episode, we're going to talk about some different things that we haven't talked about yet, and that's some forgotten sets and how you can pick up some really cool cards that came as exclusives in those sets that you can, as I said, pick up for a pretty reasonable cost. Yeah, I mean, from what I know, the Pop series being the essential prizes at that time, you got a lot of really cool, unique cards from there. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if they're playable at that time because I wasn't in it, but as I've said on my submission that I sent out, I have that Pop Series Raikou, which I think is really cool. And that art was only available in Pop Series, correct?
yes.
Yeah. So when we get into seeing a lot of these promotional packs, and that's the best way to describe it, whether it be Pokemon Organized Play or the new play, you're getting something that's unique and it's sought after to a point, but some of the older stuff you can find a stamped play promo for a really reasonable price. Um,
hmm
what are some of your favorites of that you've seen from Pop series
Well, I mean,
specifically?
totally going to be the gold stars. I
Yeah,
mean, in the Pop series, for instance, Jolteon was a huge gold star that you could get that it was very playable. It was absolutely gorgeous card. You could get the Vaporeon, the Flareon, the Espeon, and of course the Umbreon was the biggest card that you would chase after. Not only that, but they also had error cards during that time. So there were some cards that had the backs flipped on them where the Pokeball was upside down. For
I've
instance, the
heard about that.
Mew. Yeah, there's a Mew out of that actually there's more of the uncorrected version, so the Pokeball being upside down, than the corrected version, which means that the corrected version is actually more expensive. That doesn't always happen, but there's a lot of those times where you might have a card from that series that is so expensive just because number one, you could only get 1 to 2 cards per pack. Sometimes you can get more depending on the promotional pack. But during those old times, you only got 2 cards and you weren't always guaranteed a hollow, which means those hollows are really expensive or the gold stars are really expensive because you just don't find them that often. And they can be weighed. So a lot of them have been weighed throughout the history of Pokemon.
So you think that nowadays, if you were to find a Pop series pack somehow at a show, in all likelihood, it's probably weighed at this point or has been weighed by somebody at some point.
It's very hard to say because some of them come out of collections where someone, they played back in the day, they put the pack inside their binder inside of a tin and just forgot about it. Sometimes that happens, but majority of the time you're going to see them weighed or you're going to see a lot of them uh, unfortunately be resealed or things like that. So they are much more likely to be resealed, weighed, at least know what the contents are.
One of the other things we have down here is there's some promotional energies I've seen out there that are another forgotten type of collectible item. I think one of the ones that I think of is I believe they're all evolutions, but the one that comes to mind is the Umbreon and the Dark Energy with a nice city background. I've seen that one as a regular one, and also it has a play stamped one. But that's just another random piece of collecting that I think is easily forgotten about. Uh, do you know of a few other options that are out there? I can think of a couple, but none of them are quite like that one to me. I'm probably
Oh yeah,
missing one.
there's a lot of great ones. The Rockets Mewtwo that has the winter promo. You know, you have that one. You have the Hitmonchan, that's the winner's promo. You have first, second, third, fourth place promos all the time for City League. You have Regional League stamp promos. There's the Umbreon, the Glaceon. There's several different ones out there. Almost every year they do a new promo from those regional and city events that you can get, or staff promos, or even another one that you can get that you don't think about, but they're out there. Another one is the professors from the 151. Anyone trying to do a master set of 151, or a grandmaster set, I should say, they're searching for that, and it's like you can't find it. And there's a good reason why. It was only a certain amount given out. Those people who are holding on to them have been playing for a long time, or they are judges that are like, heck no, this is an experience for me. I want to keep that memory. And they're really hard to find, especially when people want to keep them. So not only can you find those different stamp promos, but you can also find different stamped cards, whether it be from, reverse hollows from older sets. Crystal Guardians comes to mind for me. Deoxys comes to mind. I mean, there's a lot of different stamped cards that you can get out there that aren't technically promos, but they're still stamped.
Yeah, one of the things that I always forget about, like you said, is the staff and champion promos that are out there. It's I love that Pokemon has gone and made the TCG trophies cards. I mean, how better to do it than just have a plaque? I'd rather have a card that says winner, or like you said, the professor program ones, or even just say you went to a local event and got the play stamped cards. I think that's really cool. Um, Especially like you said, the staff. I personally haven't seen very many staff promos out there. Another one that I just thought of is San Diego Comic Con does it too,
Hmm.
where they'll have a specific SDCC promo. Um, there's a lot of options like that out there, and I just forgotten about cards. But yeah, I think if you happen to see one of these at a show and you're not quite sure what it is, the vendor, I'm sure, would be more than happy to tell you about it, even where they got it from. I think it would be very rare, as Kalen said, to find a professor program one or a champion one. But if you do, I think at the very least, if the vendor won it themselves, that would be pretty cool to just have that conversation with them.
Hmm. I mean, well, not only that, but the older ones, like I said, the Team Rocket's Mewtwo, the Hitmonchan, I have one in a binder that's damaged I got for like $10.
Hmm.
I mean, there's some that are really not expensive, especially if you're looking into like, oh, I love the cross hatch patterns on some of these cards. They look really, really cool. There's so many out there that are so inexpensive. Or if you look at newer pop packs, play promotional packs, you can actually find really cheap cards that have really cool holofoils. For instance, a lot of the trainer cards, item cards, stuff like that, have hollows in the stamped uh, or in the play promotional packs that don't have them as a regular one in their sets, or they just don't look as good. I'll be honest with you, the play promotional ones look stellar compared to the reverse hollows that we get in regular sets. If they did those reverse hollows in regular sets, we would be treated. We would be,
Hmm.
I'm only collecting reverse hollows now. So,
Yeah, I that brings up a really good point that I wanted to talk about was the the change and adaptation of the common and uncommon foil cards, whether it be reverse or standard. I think I think we've seen a degradation of quality from Sun and Moon era on. Sun and Moon era, I think, was pretty good with the almost wavy hollow pattern. We got a little bit of a downgrade on the standard hollows in Sword and Shield where you had the lines, but the reverse hollows took a hit. the reverse hollows took a big hit having the almost pinstripe energy style versus the Sun and Moon that had the big energy and a whole bunch of nice foil around it. And then, unfortunately, Scarlet and Violet really just went even further down. I'm not a fan of these reverse hollows from Scarlet and Violet, and I'm really not a fan of the hollows themselves. However, we are able to get my favorite type of hollow, which is a Cosmos hollow, but I don't know how I feel about it in this new era where you have the border being that Cosmos hollow as well.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I was really hoping for something better out of Mega, getting the same regular hollow, and now we just have the kind of the future and ancient style reverses where it's just a mirror style.
Yep.
I it just doesn't work for me. I want them to bring back just regular Cosmos hollows as your rares, and it doesn't have to be every pack again. I want to go back to that because in the we've gotten trained to now treat these regular hollows as not hits at all. It's just another card in the pack. And that's really disappointing to me because to go back and look at some of my favorite cards from past eras, they're Cosmos Hollow, or from the black and white era, we've talked about how they had an interesting hollow pattern with the horizontal striping that they tried to bring back kind of in the Sword and Shield era with the vertical striping, but it didn't quite work as well for me. I don't know how you feel about the evolution of hollows, but to
I'm
me,
gonna
it's a
go
degradation.
I'm gonna go one step further and say even the black and white reverse hollows weren't that good. I mean, Legendary Collection, Legendary Treasures. Sorry, I didn't mean Legendary Collection. Legendary Treasures, amazing set, beautiful set. Love the reverse hollows in that set. Even love the hollows in that set, right? Other
Mhm.
than that set, I can't tell you another set that I like from black and white with reverse hollows or hollows. I think before then, during the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, during you know, Legendary Collection onwards. Even the e-readers looked amazing for the reverse hollows. And after that, it kind of got, I don't want to say bad, but it started to trend in a cheaper way. So it was a lot harder to find those better looking hollow cards or reverse hollows. We already talked about the stamped ones. I love those. Those to me are like a forgotten era that I love to collect just because not a lot of people collect it. Not
Mhm.
only do you get a card in reverse hollow, but the hollow or the picture itself is hollow, and you get the stamp on top of it. I mean, it all comes together to make a great and beautiful card. Of course, nothing will ever rival Legendary Collection reverse hollows. You will never ever tell me that that is not the best reverse hollow they ever put out there. I
I
mean,
think
you
I
have
think you're right. And I don't think we see them try and even mimic it, but I'd like to see them try to do something unique again. Um, I think in a way, they kind of tried. I could see where they were going with the Scarlet and Violet, where they had cool designs that were different based on the type, where you had some hidden like symbols and whatnot within the chaos, but it didn't work. But looking back at, like you said, the Radiant Collection stuff and Legendary Treasures and all this, we had an era where you actually wanted to get some reverse hollows, where you wanted to, it felt like you had another hit, even if you didn't have one. Uh, one of the one of the things Jack had talked about is the evolution and maybe dissipation of shiny hollows. I as I've looked through, going back to Hidden Fates and up now to Paldean Fates, there is a difference in the hollow. I think that degraded as well. I don't feel as if the newer Paldean Fates shinies feel as well put together, we'll call it, as the Hidden Fates ones. But do you think that we are done seeing shiny cards in that form, where baby shinies, as we call them?
No, not at all. I think that it's something too big that they will not get rid of. Same thing with Shining cards. We had a lot of Shining cards out there, and everyone was like, well, they're not going to do another set with that. They did. Shining Legends. I mean, it slaps you right in the face. At the same time, do I think it's going to be as big as Paldean Fates? No. I think they're going to go with smaller sets, maybe do a little bit more frequent with those sets. At the same time, I just don't think that they're going to be able to not do that just because of the popularity of those sets. You look at Paldean Fates, sold out across the board. Even Shining Fates for a long time was sold out across the board. They reprinted the heck out of Shining Fates.
Hmm.
You get to Hidden Fates. That's even harder to get now. I mean, ETBs are so expensive. The promos in there. Not only are they gonna want to do all of those shiny Pokemon because it gets people kind of re-excited about sets and Pokemon themselves, but it also shows a different side to the Pokemon TCG. I mean, for myself, I would love to have, shiny Ghastlies. We haven't had a shiny Ghastly. We haven't had a shiny Haunter. We haven't had a shiny Gengar. There's still so many shinies that they can do. What I would love them to do is actually take maybe Megas or Terastallized and do those shinies. I mean, we saw it with Charizard. We saw it with, uh, you know, I mean, I wouldn't even say Gardevoir was Terastallized, right? Really, the only one we saw it with was Charizard, and that was it. So
Yeah.
there's still a lot for them to do with those different subsets of different types of Pokemon in there.
Yeah, with us going into the Mega Evolutions side here, following the Legends ZA on the game, I really do hope you're right and they do some Mega Shinies. I think that we're always going to have that kind of fan service of blinging out your deck. So I agree with you that I think we'll see shinies in some capacity. But you brought up a great point as well about Paldean Fates and how many shinies they really put out in that set. I'm going to say that I would like to see them do something more similar to what you see in TCG Pocket right now, where each set has a couple that are just kind of part of the next set, like just a couple.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that would be a good way to go about continuing this, and it would keep the shinies in the game, and it would keep people being able to get something new. I know they're really pushing the golds right now because, I mean, why wouldn't they? Those things are incredible. I think they've really done a vast improvement on the golds, but I'd like to see them kind of
Pause real
work.
quick. We did kind of see that in the Sword and Shield era where they made golds into shinies.
That's a good
I
point.
I know that you've seen my gold collection.
Hmm.
Octillery Gold is one of my favorite cards ever because it's a gold Pokemon on a gold card that is fully gold. And so for me, it's like the ultimate gold card, you know.
Yeah,
But
the other one I'm thinking of that did that was the Obstagoon.
mhm.
I'm sure
And
there's more, but
Frostlass and Snorlax and
Snorlax,
Mareep
yep.
and or sorry, Flaffy and I can go on and on. But we'll continue.
But yeah, that's another way they could go and kind of just throw in. I don't think it'll be gold because I think this new style of gold is what they're going to stick with for the mega set. But it wouldn't be uncommon to see a change in the middle of a block. So if you look at how Scarlet and Violet was set up, the we'll call it the payouts, your big hits, were a little bit different in the beginning few than they were in the end. So one of the things I brought up is the Rainbow Border EX Terastallized, which did not happen in the first half of the Scarlet Violet era. So I wouldn't say it's impossible to assume that you could see some kind of change, and maybe we do see the increase of shiny in some different form that we weren't expecting. That's a really good point. Um, but I'm also wondering if, like you said, maybe we'll get some megas. I hope so, but this is also going to be a much more shortened timeline because usually, what do you have? 2 years on a block.
Yeah, it's just about.
This is only going to be a year of mega,
Yeah,
realistically.
it's really not going to be much.
So I don't know if they do much, but I don't see anything in these upcoming sets that point to any form of shiny unless it's part of this possible, what is it, Radiant Ruby and Shining Sapphire. Maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think that's
We'll
what Shining
see.
was
I
meant
think
to
that the
be.
only time that they're going to do it is with a promo, right? Either with a box or with an ETB or some sort like that. I don't think it's going to happen this set run with Mega. I think that's going to be in the next run, and I think it's going to be pretty early in that next run. I think
Mhm.
that they're going to try and pump it out a little bit early just to spike that interest a little bit more. That's just
Yeah,
me, you know,
we're
my
just
opinion.
guessing. We're just guessing. Um, yeah, another thing you talked about is ETB promos and how that's kind of evolved as well as one of those forgotten cards because before the Scarlet and Violet era, there weren't a lot of ETB promos as there are now in every single ETB, and we're actually seeing now. And a couple times in the Scarlet Violet era, where you have two different ETB arts and you have two different ETB promos, but before the Scarlet Violet era, you just got 8 packs and some sleeves, and you were on your way. But there are a few that are out there that I think are forgotten as well. That some of the prices are still very good, but some of them, obviously, stained glass birds, not so much.
Yeah, if we take a look at a lot of those promos that are a little bit older, the Shining Ho-Oh is an example that is it's pretty cheap. You can still find a lot of them sealed on the market. They're pretty easy to get. I have one in my collection. I've had like 20 come through my collection throughout the years.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a consistent thing that I see all the time. Now, at the same time, during just about XY era and beyond, we started seeing promos happen in those specialty set ETBs. Uh, I believe Generations was one, the Shaman EX from Generations, the Shining Ho-Oh, the Stained Glass Birds. There was a Nagnadel GX that was part of a specialty set. Um, we had, you know, after that, we started getting almost every single ETB had one, right? And not only that, but you also had the Pokemon Center ETBs that had stamped promos and the regular promo in there. So not only do you now have to collect for every single card in your set the stamped promo, you have to collect the normal promo. And then if you have a set that has two different ETBs, oh no, you got to collect both of the ETBs and both of the
Hmm.
promos from both of the stamped ones and the non-stamped ones. And so there's just a lot more to collect. So it feels like not only are they trying to kind of give you a reason to be like, hey, we're upping the price a little bit. Here's a promo to kind of soothe your aggravation a little bit more and an extra pack. Now they're also doing it so that collectors have another thing to collect. So it's a never ending cycle of, well, hey, we also need to increase prices. What's going to help that? Well, this might help that. Later down the road, when people get used to those prices, well, now what are we going to do? Well, there's the stamped promos, and we can do two different ETBs. Let's do that. And so we're kind of seeing that happen as we've gone through Black and White, even Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, you know, Mega Evolution. There's so many out there now that you can make as many examples as you want.
One of the other things I have on here that I think, I don't know if it's ever going to go crazy. I don't think so. But I saw a video recently of somebody talking about save your Mega EXs right now because some of those Mega EXs, just the regular ones from back in the first time we did Megas, are very pricey cards now. I mean, we're looking at the Charizard being well over $100, and that was probably what, $20 at the time.
Oh,
Some of
not
these
even.
even, yeah, and even some of the lower ones being, you know, a couple bucks, and pretty much all of them are 15 plus now in any condition. So when we look back, we got to remember sometimes that there's some forgotten cards, and the one forgotten for me, I call them two prizer cards because those are your bigger hits that you get, EXs, Vs, things like that. But specifically is Vs from the Sword and Shield era. What I don't understand is why people aren't interested in these. Whenever you have a lot of these older EXs, they're admittedly kind of more bland cards where they're an EX of your Pokemon popping out of the card. They're cool, but what's odd to me is there's no hype around the regular Vs, uh, especially because a lot of the regular EX cards are done by these CGI companies such as Planeta or NG Empire or things like that, where they're just pumping out a bunch of them just to make it work. The Vs were done by actual artists. So one of the ones that comes to mind, I've mentioned it multiple times before, is the Ho-Oh V from Silver Tempest. Now, that never got a alt art. However, the regular version of a Ho-Oh V was done by Akira Igawa,
Mhm.
one of the top artists in Pokemon, and nobody cares. Uh,
I
I have a bunch of
care.
them. I I care too. I have a bunch of them, beautiful card, and I've looked through. I see the Darkrai, I see all the evolutions, and they're good. They're very good art. And just because they weren't the chase of the set, people aren't interested. I guess that in time, just like anything else, people are going to look back and say, okay, why did we not look at these? Let me grab some of these for a couple bucks. Not a bad idea for building a binder, especially when you're first starting, to start to look at those Sword and Shield era V cards. There's plenty of examples out there. Pick your favorite Pokemon, it probably has a V.
I think that is mainly to do because people started getting back into it during CZ. So a lot of those
Mhm.
Vs were really, really available, a lot of them out there. And not only that, but then EXs came really quick. We had a lot of change very quickly right after Sword and Shield. And so a lot of people, grabbed those cards, maybe grabbed a couple of them, and then just moved on. And so as time goes on, you're going to see a lot more collectors go, man, that art is really, really good. I really love that. Or I really need this artist to complete my collection. So those Vs are going to start going up in price just because they're not printed anymore. Not a lot of people are ripping a lot of Sword and Shield anymore just because it's getting really, really expensive. And so if you're looking at a 5 to 10 year thing where you just want to keep, a couple of Vs that you really, really like, it's a great thing to pick up during this time when they're really, really cheap and not a lot of people are looking at them. Just because a card is really cheap doesn't mean that it isn't a good card. It just means that not a lot of people might want it or there's a lot of supply out there. So if you're ever feeling like, hey, this is a $2 card, why would I want this card? Want it because you like it. Want it because you want it in your collection, not just because it's expensive.
Yeah, so when you start to see some of these, I see a lot of them that didn't have alt arts, and some of them that did, but a lot of them that didn't have alt arts had really nice full arts as well, which are also not a ton. Lugia did not have a full art as far as, no, it did. It did.
No, it did. It did.
Lugia and
Yeah,
Silver
it did.
Tempest got four, which is absurd because Lugia is not as good as Ho-Oh. Don't care. Said it. Don't care.
Well, I think it got
Um,
five because there was also a promo for Lugia V from the GameStop box.
yeah, I guess it did then.
So,
Because it got the regular V, which is a really cool card.
oh
It
yeah,
got the full art with the kind of yellowish green background. It got the gold, and then it got the one over the fishing boat, the one that everybody cares about. That Ho-Oh probably should have got one
there
too.
was a Lugia
Not
V
mad.
Gold.
No, there was a V Star Gold, but still,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that set had so many. I mean, when you're looking at V and V Star cards, the thing that was a little disappointing to me is a lot of the V Stars are not that interesting.
They don't
Um,
look as good to me as the V's.
right.
I'm just being honest.
They don't, and they just had some. I mean, the alt art ones obviously did, but those. I mean, if I'm thinking alt art V stars, there's mostly Crown Zenith stuff, but yeah, the V star base. I don't think that's the long term thing people grab. I think it goes back to V's, and like I mentioned, if you're trying to build a binder and you're looking for cool art, take a look because you might find something you really like. And I have a whole binder full of full arts from the Sword and Shield era and the Scarlet Violet era, and I can tell you the Sword and Shield full arts are in a different level than the Scarlet and Violet ones. Scarlet and Violet ones are
So
fine.
much better. They look
The
so much better.
yeah, they're the nice rainbow foil they got on them, and the the actual design behind them. Usually it's some kind of swirl or hurricane looking thing,
Hmm.
but it just looks better. When it
It
came down
does.
to the Scarlet and Violet ones, they were just kind of some random pattern that they felt worked behind them. So yeah, take a look at Sword and Shield era V full arts and just V cards. So many of you guys are going to be able to surprise yourself with what you find. And I want everybody that's watching this video, come back and comment your favorite, just regular V. I don't want to see a single alt art mentioned. I want to see your favorite V from the Sword and Shield era so we can, compare with each other and really learn to appreciate some of these cards that are absolutely forgotten.
Yeah, I
Uh,
completely agree.
Yeah, what is your favorite V that you had in the Sword and Shield era, and why is it
Oh,
Gengar?
I wonder.
Oh, and why is
You
it
know,
Gengar?
I wonder. I mean, of course, it's my favorite, right? Gengar's my favorite from Fusion Strike. It was also really, really cheap for a long time. I
Mhm.
think that it looks really cool. If I remember correctly, it's powering up a Shadow Ball. I
Yep.
think it's really, really cool that it's also doing an attack from the game. My second, though, close second, is the Ho-Oh V, the regular one from Silver. I mean, it is just phenomenal. The artwork on it is amazing. How Ho-Oh is bending in the card. It literally looks like a hurricane is trapping all of these colors, and Ho-Oh is the symbol that's riding it. It looks so so good, and I don't think a lot of people think about that. Every time I pull it on stream, I'm like, dang, this is one of the best cards I see in Silver Tempest. Even the Lugia is good. Don't get me wrong. I love the Reggie Drago. I like the Unknown, and then it goes the Ho-Oh-V. I mean,
Hmm.
it really is phenomenal artwork, and it just is forgotten all of the time.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't quite believe that the value of these cards is going anywhere, take a look at what the graded versions are doing. I've been looking back just to see maybe these are going to gain traction because I'm trying to get them. I like them for my collection. I'm not even trying to get these for value. I just want to get them before it's too late.
Hmm.
The Ho-Oh-V in a 10 it's eclipsed $100, or it's at
Oh.
least close. Um, that's telling me that there is interest being gained here. There are a lot out there, and if you go to your local card shop, you can probably find some form of bulk VEX bin. You'll be able to find some of these cards, and you guys are going to really enjoy adding them to your collection. But absolutely, as Kalen said, a lot of them have some kind of cool move they're doing or a cool pose. Go take a look. Go take a look. Comment, like I said in the video. I think that everybody's going to surprise themselves with what they find.
At least you'll find at least one card out there that you're like, man, this
Hmm.
exists and it looks this good. And then you're gonna remind yourself, oh yeah, this is a card. This is
Yeah,
something that I want.
yeah. So every week that Kalen and I are here, we do a show off our card from our collection so we can talk about it, kind of thing. This week, my addition to it is the build and battle promo from Lost Origin. This Gengar is an alternate art. So one of the things we've talked about is how you can get alternate arts that aren't, V stars, V's, things like that. So uh, build and battle promos are a great way to do that. Sometimes they're not, as I've talked about with Journey Together, or no, sorry, Destined Rivals. It was not an
Mm.
alternate art, but we are back to alternate art again. But the way they did it with the different art, same hollow from Sword and Shield, I really, really like those. And personally, I think this is the best build and battle from the Sword and Shield era is this Gengar,
You
which
know it, baby. You know it.
Big Smiling Kayla knows that it's Gengar.
Yeah, baby.
But yeah,
Woo!
what do you got to bring to the table this week?
Yeah, so this card I'm showing off, this is actually a wifey card. That's not even mine, but this is a Korean exclusive promo. This is a Ditto card that they had for a Ditto festival in Korea. And I want to show you guys this because we just saw this legitimately 2 seconds ago.
Hmm.
Look at the back card on this thing. Even the back promo card looks amazing. I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it right. And I love this card itself. I think that's a beautiful card. I love how derpy everything is. Everything's a ditto on the card. So even the Magikarp, even the Lotad over there, everything is a ditto on that card. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I love how it looks. Wifey loves how it looks. And that back card, I'm telling you, I would put that in my PC. Like I'm not even lying with you. It looks so cool.
That is such a cool, just it's just a placeholder card,
Yeah.
and it's incredible. Is there Captain Pikachu on there?
Yes, there is.
Oh
And
my
there's
goodness.
Entei, and there's Arbalava. I mean, look at all of those Pokemon on that card, and it's not even an actual Pokemon card. Like
Yeah,
if you
if you
if you
watch
do something like that, I'm gonna buy that card instantly.
Yeah, if you watch the Horizons show, that's everything from Horizons on one card, and this
Yep.
Ditto Festival didn't have anything to do with that. It's just a
No.
cool piece that they added in, and I feel I don't think I don't think it's crazy to say by any means, but I feel like some of the promos that we get, the I don't really know if there are a ton of English exclusive promos. Whenever we talk about things, we talk about Japanese exclusive promos, Chinese exclusive cards from the new gem sets. But what's crazy to me is some of these really odd ones. Like going from Korea, we have this Ditto card. And I believe you have another one from, I believe, Malaysia or Indonesia that's a Lapras from 7-Eleven.
So you talk about that card, huh? You talk it because in the same case, I have that card. So
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of businesses even. I know I was at a show this past weekend and I sent Kalen a Charizard that was from, I think it was Malaysia as well, from KFC. It was cool
yeah.
as heck. Why are we not getting this level? I guess we kind of are to a point, but not really. We get the McDonald's promos every year, which are really just the same cards we get in packs, just with a different holo on it. Meanwhile, the McDonald's promo in Japan is a Pikachu eating a cheeseburger. What is stopping them from giving it to us? I don't necessarily care as a foreign language collector myself. I think it adds an element to.
I I don't think there's anything stopping them. I think it's more just the hype around those cards.
Mhm.
So if you continue to look at what they do, I mean, we have the GameStop promos, we have
True.
the illustration contest promos. We still get some promos. I just feel like since it's such a large area that they have to cover. They have to print so many more, which means that the supply is just so much higher. Versus in Japan, in Indonesia, in these foreign countries, the population is so much smaller that they print less cards. I mean, look at the Great Fat Hot Pikachu, for instance.
Mhm.
No one really wanted that card when it came out. I remember getting a PSA 9 for like 180 bucks, 200 bucks.
Don't want to talk
And I was
about it.
like, "Oh, that's really cool." It shot up. It's what, 500, 600 bucks now. It's really expensive. Everyone wants it. And it was only printed in those certain places,
Yeah,
right?
that was one for the Van Gogh Museum crossover.
Hmm.
Um, And I remember that PSA 9 coming into the shop and you offered it to me first. And I said, no, I don't care about that card. I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. But
I
I
got one
think,
on them.
I think that when you see this, there's other examples of this happening too, where I've heard stories of people with the Poncho Pikachus. They were readily available and nobody cared. The Mario and Luigi Pikachu's readily available. Nobody cared. And then you have some other Japanese ones where you had ponchos that weren't. I think there were poncho Eevees too, but
Yep.
they weren't the full art versions that everybody goes crazy over. But a lot of these regular style ponchos are still very valuable, and from what I understand, they were pretty available. You could get them almost anywhere.
Yeah, during whenever I got back in collecting, you can get them for, a couple $100, maybe 400, $500 each. There are cards that are, 5, 6,000 now in a 10. They are really, really hard to get. Not only that, but we just saw the release of a shiny Gyarados box that had some more exclusive promos that everybody wants. Those boxes are going to go up in price. I saw them at Collecticon just here a couple weeks ago, a month ago, and I could pick one up for, I think it was like 250, maybe $300. I mean, compared to how much the poncho boxes are now sealed, that's nothing. That's a drop in the pond. And so looking at those exclusive promos that are coming out, you might want to be on the lookout for them to get them the first or maybe second wave because they're going to be the cheapest that they're going to get.
Right, and it's sometimes difficult to navigate what's being dropped in a foreign language, but as we've said, the promos and special arts that are out there from other languages, just go around and take a look. Like the Detective Pikachu on the back of a Growlithe, I just saw one sealed at the show I was just at. Somebody had one and they wanted $180 for it, which is fair. But even just a year ago, that card was what, $30?
I picked it up whenever I got back to Kansas City for $30.
Yeah.
30. I have a sealed
And,
one still in my collection.
and that card will never be printed in another language. It's just, it is that, and that's it. So I think it's very important to give other languages a chance if you haven't yet, but to understand how they do these kind of drops and special products. There's obvious ones that are going to be very expensive right away. For example, you're looking at the Team Rocket box that they made for Destin, or not Destin Rivals, the Glory of Team Rocket. Obviously, that was going to go crazy. But as Kalen said, there's the Mega Gyarados box that isn't as nobody, I wouldn't say nobody cares about it, but there isn't as much interest in it. I've seen other uh, YouTubers and other people talk about from their shops, they get in the Chinese exclusive Evolution boxes that come with all kinds of other products, such as ID holders and cards that we've seen already. So a lot of people that are collecting here in this country overlook them because it's already stuff you have in English.
Mhm.
You need to put that away and think about what kind of cool products they have that we don't. And I don't want to say predict where they're going to go, but I can tell you, as Jack and I have talked about FOMO, this is kind of a backwards FOMO of once it's gone, it's gone. So you may find out about these products later, and at that point it's too late. So researching into what's coming out can find you some really cool stuff. And as Kalen said, as I've said, as Jack said, if you like it, get it. There are so many cool opportunities for you to get stuff that you have no idea about. I can rattle off a list of crazy products that people have no idea existed, but there are products out there like we're talking about, like a Mega Gyarados box or this Detective Pikachu promo that you can find out about very quickly and very effectively and be able to get at a cheap price if you just trust the fact that I like the card, so I'm going to get the card. I don't know why people don't want to think that way. I think it's just because this has become such an investor bro kind of hobby, but none of us that are watching this channel and talking on this channel are investor bros. So we need to stop acting like it. We need to get back to getting what we like. So
Yeah,
just go
I'll give
out
you an
there.
example real quick. The Hoopa, there's a Japanese exclusive Hoopa promo that is a baby Hoopa with a Mega Rayquaza in the back that's shiny. I loved that card. Someone pulled it out of their collection. They were like, "Yeah, we're trying to trade. We're working out a trade for something." I look at that card. I'm like, "I want that one." And they go, "Well, it's like $10." I was like, "I will give you straight cash right now for it, $10." So okay, no problem. Cool, we did that deal. We walk away. Year later, it's I think 50, $60. I still think it's an undervalued promo. I still think it's a beautiful promo. Would I buy 5 more copies? Probably. I'm not gonna lie. It is a beautiful card, and I got it for a really cheap price just because that was market at the time. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that, like I said earlier, it doesn't mean a card is bad. It just means it's cheap, and I kind of enjoy that, especially in the market that we're in right now.
Absolutely. Finding ways to find really cool cards at a reasonable cost is paramount right now. One of the more easy ways I'll tell people to get started into finding these exclusive cards are the gem packs from China. So the first one that came out was obviously called Gem Pack 1. It featured a lot of cards from the anime Pokemon Horizons. So you got four art rares out of that. You got Sprigatito, you've got Fuecoco, you've got Captain Pikachu, and you got Quaxley. Those cards, I don't believe are ever going to be printed in another language. I don't think that's the plan. I don't think it's going to happen. Those cards, here's the other thing about Chinese gem packs, that when they're done, they're done. There isn't like a reprint that they do. So right now, the gem pack ones, I don't think are in print anymore. I think
Mm-mm.
they're gone. Then they moved on to Collect 151, which is kind of a gem pack, but those are in what, three sets where they have three arts that are Pikachu related. One's with
Okay.
Psyducks, one's with Gengar, and what I can't remember what the other one's with.
They are definitely phenomenal arts, and since they are exclusive cards, not only can you collect that set, but you can collect that card specifically. So if you're looking for just Chinese exclusives, you can get just Chinese exclusives. You don't have to get all of the cards in that set, or you can master set it. It's really up to you.
Right. And we actually, I'm seeing now, we have a confirmation of a fourth 151 set. Set four will have another Pikachu card in it. All of these are going to be absurd. So if you think you missed out on the hype for the ponchos or the Marios, this is a chance to get in on this early. We're already seeing the first couple go insane, especially the Gengar one. So we have another one coming out here. It looks like soon. Collect 151 set four. These are all cards that are going to be absolutely absurd at some point. And the other ones are from the gem packs, which gem pack one, as I said, had these stuff from Pokemon Horizons, and gem pack two was a purely evolution set where you had once again four exclusive art rares, one with Leafeon, one with Sylveon, one with Eevee, and one with Umbreon. Those are another set where I don't think they're going to be printed in another language. I don't think that they're going to be something that we look back on and say, darn it, why didn't I get that? Because right now, I know because I just got one. The Leafeon is like 50.
Mhm.
The Sylveon's like 50. The Eevee, I think, is like 60. And the Umbreon's under 300. I think it's 240 or something.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
235. Yeah.
I don't see any way that these cards, once that set goes out of print, don't skyrocket. They grade okay. I've seen a lot of bad grades on these. I've seen a lot of out the pack eights, but I think I don't think that's going to matter in time. Obviously the tens are going to be absurd with
Hmm.
that fact being out there, but I think the raw cards themselves are going to speak for themselves in time. I think China's catching up with popularity. This is a new wave of collectors in Chinese, so I think they're really ramping up their production. I think that's part of why we're seeing some quality issues, but for the most part beforehand, Chinese quality was just as good as Japanese. Um, so I think we're going to see a bit of a resurgence there of some of these cards. I don't even want to say resurgence, they're brand new. We're going to see the surge happen.
Hmm.
Um, I give it
Well,
a year.
all we got to do is look at the Mew that they printed out
Oh
of
my goodness.
Chinese. It is insane. It's actually one of the most fake cards out there. So if you are looking at buying that Mew, if it's too good to be true,
It
I'd
is
probably walk away. But they are really expensive. I think there was only 1,510 printed, if I'm correct.
correct.
And so it's really, really, if you think, yeah, 1,000 cards, 1,500 cards, that's a lot. That is nothing compared to the amount that is out there. For instance, the Umbreon in a 10, what is it, like 10,000 copies out there in a 10 or something like that
Mhm.
for the Moonbreon? I mean, it is absolutely insane. And if you compare that to just the raw printing of that card in Chinese, it is maybe a sliver of the amount of cards printed in English. So not only are we looking at cards that are exclusive to China, but also the print supply being way lower than the demand in the future. So you also got to think about that.
Yeah, and when I say they go out of print, um, we're talking the Gem Pack 1. To give an idea, as I said, Gem Pack 1 is out of print.
Gem Pack 2 is officially out of print as well.
Gem Pack 2 is out of print. Gem Pack 1 released January 17th of this year, 2025. It's done. Gem Pack 2 came out in summer
Yeah.
and it's done.
Yeah.
So they are not doing a lot of these. They put out a lot at once. Let me
But
check
then once
just
it's
to
gone, it's
verify.
gone. I mean, look at the surprise 151 boxes. They were getting bought up everywhere. And now I can't find a box, I think, for less than $200. I mean,
Yeah, correct.
it's
And what's I kind of actually like these gem packs, and I think they're going to continue them because as a collector, offer some things that we don't see in any other language. They have multiple different types of hollows. I like their Pokeball patterns. They have some really great chase cards. The quality is pretty good. The backs of the Chinese cards are the same as English.
Hmm.
There's a lot of really cool things about them, but the coolest part about it is the when you look at the different cards, if you're just trying to collect the different arts, there aren't that many per set. So there are smaller packs, usually 4 to 5 cards. I think they're all four. Um,
Except
you
for the
get
jumbo packs.
except for the jumbo packs. But yeah, you get 15 packs per box, and of your 4 cards, you have well, let's see, um, you have the Energy Hollow, you have the Pokeball, you have the Master Ball, you have a Stamped, you have a
That's right.
Stars Hollow, you have this like Pinwheel Hollow, and then there's a couple different for example, the Eevee. There's a couple different Eevees. There's a couple different Leafeons.
Right.
There's a
I
couple
also
different
love how they
Umbreons.
have two different arts for the different cards
Mm-hmm.
in Gem Volume 2. I really love that because you can also have the Sylveon that's still in the fairy energy,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no other set that's printing that right now that you can get a fairy card in. I mean, unless it's in Korean, and even then, it's like it's gonna pass right over your head.
Yeah, I think Korean's done a pretty good job of keeping up. So I doubt there's going to be anything there, but you might be able to still get stuff. But Chinese is technically behind a little bit,
Okay.
so they still are printing stuff. But these gem sets are, and the 151 I think is just basically 151. I haven't opened any of it, but what I've seen is it's the 151 cards just in Chinese, but they have some exclusives. These gem packs are homages to what we've seen in English. They're cards you've seen before, but just done very differently. So if you're looking for something different, when they come out, typically they're $50 to $60 for a box.
Hmm.
It is a really fun way to spend $50 or $60. Each set, like I said, has 4 chase cards. Um, and there's one that's going to be absurd. The Captain Pikachu is the one that I think is going to go absolutely insane. Um, it's high. It's not to its peak. It's not close. The Umbreon's cool because it's Umbreon, but the Captain Pikachu from Gem Pack 1 is absurdly cool. And I can't wait to see what they
Mm,
do next.
I don't know. The Gengar from that surprise 151 got
I'm
my
not
heart, man. It's
I'm not counting the 151 ones because those are those only have 1 chase per set. So
okay. So I guess the Gem Volume 3 Gengars has my heart. Oh no.
no, the reason I'm not counting that one is because that one was designed to be insane, just like the Mew was. I am I don't know how I feel about the Mew. Going back to that, I don't know how I feel about them only printing 1,500 copies of it. It feels like something I don't want Pokemon to do, and that's serializing cards, which they did not serialize these. But there are only 1,510. It's just I think it's a dangerous slip. Um, I don't like it for that reason. I don't ever want to have serialized Pokemon cards. I really don't. I think that brings in a whole different breed of investor bros that we don't need. We do not need that, especially if it were to happen in English. But honestly, even if it's in a foreign language, we're gonna have the same problem.
Yeah, I don't know. For me it's a little different because I mean technically all of the cards that we pull are from a certain amount of cards that they print, right? So it's even if you serialize a card, it doesn't mean that much to me just because you could only print 500 of these cards if you wanted to, right? I
Right.
mean, look at some of the Japanese exclusive promos or some of the birthday cards for the creator Pokemon. I mean, those aren't serialized technically, but there's only 400 of them out there. Some of them
That's true.
have less than that. So it's a little different for me just because it's like, okay, if you want to do that, if that's your whole, gimmick, do it, but don't act like I'm going to chase it.
Right. Well, once again, thank you all for being here, and I hope you guys learned something and can add something to your collection that even we just discovered today. There's even cards that, as we found on the back of that really cool Ditto card from Korea, that you might even just add to your collection just because it's cool. I know Kalen's probably never going to open that, but it's something he's going to show people whenever they come over and he shows the Ditto card. Now he's going to be able to flip it over and be like, hey, look at this too. So I hope that you're able to find something new from that and you took something like that from this episode.
That's right, everyone. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment what you think the best V card out of the Sword and Shield era is. Thank you again for listening to the Hit List podcast, and good night, Big Mike!
Good night, Kalen. Good night, Hit List fam. We'll see you next week.